world title at 54 kilos.
Time for our final and main event of the evening. Let's bring the fighters to the ring. Entering first, going to the black corner, Nikita Zon.
What an opportunity for Nikita Zon, because he, a late replacement in this battle for this IBA professional world title, because Arlen Lopez was scheduled to be facing off against Sharabuddin Atayev, the IBA world champion from the Tashkent edition in Uzbekistan last year, but he fell sick, was unable to compete, and so making his way to the black corner is Nikita Zon, undefeated in his 9-fight professional record, 8 wins, 6 of them by the short route, along with
and now making his entrance to the ring to the gold corner, Arlen Lopez.
So Arlen Lopez, as cool as can possibly be as he saunters his way into the agenda arena here in Dubai, just breaking out into a little bit of a jog while contemplating making his way down the aisle. The 2-time Olympic champion, taking back-to-back Olympic triumphs in the games of Rio and Tokyo, and in Paris 2024, when seeking to join his compatriots Felix Savon and Teofilio Stevenson, took part in perhaps the bout of the entire Olympic tournament, just edged out.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is our final contest of the
Ukraine,
evening,
Alexander
and it is
Kizniak,
the
coming away with a bronze.
main event. A great night of professional boxing for your entertainment, and it's all officially sponsored by RUS, the leading car dealer in Russia. 33 years in the business, over 2.5 million cars delivered. RUS, a national car dealer and our reliable partner. A big shout out to Cyprus Airways for their support. Daily flights from Dubai to Larnaca, Cyprus Airways. And ladies and gentlemen, special thanks to the president of the International Boxing Association, Mr. Umar Kremlev, and main organizer, IB Challenger, for support and expert organization for this event. So ladies and gentlemen, this is the final contest, and it is our great pleasure to present 10 rounds of boxing in the 80-kilogram division for the IBA World Championship. IBA President Umar Kremlev. The 3 judges at ringside, scoring from Azerbaijan, Emil Gurbanyev, from Moldova, Valery Poskyakov, and from Estonia, Jakov Peterson. And inside the ring, in charge of the action at the bell, your referee from Italy, Luca Varilonga. So now, the fighters are in the ring and they are ready. Obviously, the fans at ringside are all ready. So for all those in attendance and the millions watching around the world, ladies and gentlemen from Dubai, let's get ready to rumble! Introducing first, fighting out of the black corner, wearing black and officially weighing in at 79.65 kilograms. He's the 2024 Russian national champion. As a professional, his record stands at 9 victories, 7 big wins by knockout. He has 1 draw from the village of Novochonka, Russia, the undefeated Nikita Zon. And across the ring, fighting out of the gold corner, wearing white with gold trim. He officially weighed in at 79.25 kilograms, and his amateur record is one of the all-time greats in the world. 358 victories as an amateur. From Guantanamo, Cuba, the two-time Olympic gold medal champion. His record as a pro, 3 fights, 3 victories, 2 wins by KO. He is the undefeated Arlen Lopez.
So Mr. Luca Badilonga bringing both men together for the final instructions.
No punches back, no low blow, no holding. Listen always my command. Touch your gloves and good luck.
Well, a quick look at the tail of the tape between Nikita Zon and Arlen Lopez. Both men 31 years of age. Nikita Zon with an advantage in height. Both of them inside the 80 kilogram light heavyweight limit. Slight weight advantage for Nikita Zon. As we are underway, 10 3-minute rounds in the 80 kilogram division, the IBA world title on the line between Nikita Zon from Russia, wearing black trunks trimmed with gold, operating out of the southpaw stance. He a late substitute, replacing a man who was bedeviled by illness, Shadabutdin Atayev, the world champion at 86 kilograms. As Zon tries to go down to the body, responding in kind is Arlen Lopez, wearing white trunks trimmed with gold. That characteristic man bun held in place by a hairband. Two-time Olympic champion in Rio and Tokyo. Jolting left jab, right hand to the body from Arlen Lopez. And again, just as it was in our previous contest, IBA President Mr. Umar Kremlev has added extra incentive to the world title that is on offer. And if either of these men can knock out the opponent before the end of the 5th round, they will receive a cash bonus of $1 million US. Arlen Lopez, an adept switch hitter, operating exclusively as a southpaw here right now. Left hand to the body from Nikita Zon. And I just think there's a real gulf in terms of experience here. The manner in which Nikita's on, as he takes a stiff right jab from Arlen Lopez. There he lands a backhand as Nikita's on. But the rather ponderous motion that his punches take, particularly his left hand to the body out of that southpaw stance, as a sharp right hand gets through from Arlen Lopez, who switched to the orthodox stance here now. I just think the circuitous route that the punches, particularly to the body from Nikita Zon, well, all of that information will be being processed as Lopez lands a jolting left jab once again, as he persists as a right-handed fighter, leading with his left foot and left hand. But the point I'm making is a right cross gets through to clip the chin of Nikita Zon. These low-held hands and no circuitous punch routes taken by his offense could well be ripe for a counter from the two-time Olympic champion. A minute remaining in this opening round as Arlen Lopez reverts back to the southpaw stance. Half-cover guard being proffered now by Nikita Zon. Comes forward, fires a right hook, but it goes harmlessly over the man bun of Arlen Lopez, who comes forward behind a right jab and left cross, just measuring his man. Good left hand to the body from Nikita Zon. The two men standing toe-to-toe, uppercut turned underneath, out of the orthodox stance with the right hand from Arlen Lopez, who just calmly ties his man up. Referee Mr. Luca Badilonga allows the boxers to work it out. Sharp right cross landed from Arlen Lopez, just creeping over the canvas. Again, letting his hands go in combination fashion is Nikita Zon. Tries a left hook to the body once again out of that southpaw stance. But I do think the time in which it's taking to get back to the on-guard position is right for a counter from Arlen Lopez.
Interesting watching that first round. You could see Lopez switching between stances. People like to describe it as downloading data these days, don't they, when fighters have a look in the early stages of a fight. And you could see him doing that there. He got through with some good clean punches at times. Zon is happy to come forward. He's happy to try and mix it, but I think there are some gaps there that Lopez will be able to exploit. I could never quite understand how he made 75 kilos, Lopez, but now that he's up at 80, He doesn't look quite big enough for 80. He always looks like he's carrying a little bit extra, but there's never any doubting his fitness to fight, and I think this is going to be a hard night for Nikita Zon.
So we move into the second round. It's scheduled for 10 threes, the IBA 80-kilogram world title on the line. Nikita Zon at the press conference that was held yesterday, along with the ceremonial weigh-in in front of the iconic skyline of Dubai, dominated by the world's tallest building, the Burj Khalifa. Well, he's looking for the right uppercut out of the southpaw stance and the left hook from the port-sided stance is Nikita Zon. He said, I may be a late replacement, but I've got anything but an underdog mentality. Pointed to his greater depth of professional experience. Remember, unbeaten in 9 so far is Nikita Zon. All of his contests have taken place in Russia. And a low blow from Arlen Lopez. He just allows himself a little bit of a wry grin. Referee Mr. Luca Badilonga as the two men get beyond punching distance. But that might be an opportunity to fight on the edge of the rule book as a rapier-like right cross get through from Arlen Lopez, followed by a drop shot to the body, jolting left jab, followed by another sharp right cross, and Arlen Lopez finding the range with some quality punch picking, approaching the halfway stage of this second round. Nikita Zon bobbing and weaving, dipping at the knees, having a look trying to score with punches underneath. Arlen Lopez standing his ground. Heel of the glove from Nikita Zon was pushed out towards Arlen Lopez, and Nikita Zon busy, but again content to operate from behind a low held guard. Arlen Lopez can reduce his work rate. I suppose it could be an accusation. But sometimes there's another low blow sinks below the belt line, and Arlen Lopez just going walkabout. It appears to have taken that punch on the hip socket, and that can be a painful blow indeed. Now Arlen Lopez doesn't necessarily subscribe to the Cuban archetype of floating around the ring and sticking and moving, but whatever movement you do possess will be hampered and impeded if you continue to take shots around the ball and socket joints of the hip. Remember, ahead of the fight of the century in March '71 between the two Olympic champions, Smoking Joe Frazier and Muhammad Ali, Angelo Dundee said to referee Arthur McCanty, watch the hip punches. And Arlen Lopez hopping away here in some distress because he's taken another shot around the hip joint that appears to be pretty painful indeed. So he'll be given 5 minutes to recover here. Here we see Borrego, who claimed the American Continental title at the end of a terrific contest with Ryan Martin earlier on. But Nikita Zon continuing to go for it, but his accuracy has seen him deliver a few foul blows in that second round.
It's been messy, this first couple of rounds. Lopez has picked some good punches at times, and he did again in that second round. Zon does look a little bit clumsy in stages, and he has whacked him around the hip a few times. I think they've been legitimate low blows, and they take your legs away. That's why people do it. I'm not saying he's doing it deliberately, but that's why people do look to try and indulge in that on the blind side of the referee often, because they know that later in a fight, the fighter will really begin to feel that. So he's got to be careful, because that's 3 times there that the fight was halted in that round for a low blow, and the referee's chosen not to do anything about it yet in terms of taking a point. But you would imagine that were he to do it again, then he will. Everything's at the discretion of the referee. Sometimes people think it's a 3 strikes policy. If they warn you twice or you do it twice, then the 3rd time you have to take a point. There's none of that. But Luca Badilonga, I don't think he'll let it go forever if it keeps happening.
Sharp left jab lands to send a shower of spray from the close-cropped hair of Nikita Zon from Arlen Lopez. Left hand to the body was a legitimate blow, but then there's a beautiful right hand from the orthodox stance landed by Arlen Lopez, followed by a sharp left jab. Pronounced feints being put forth Oh, that's a cracking single shot landed by Arlen Lopez, because again, the defenses of Nikita Zon with his hands are non-existent and his chin up in the air rather than on his chest. He tries a burst of punches, but they're landing with the inside of the glove. And that shot straying into rabbit punch territory, hence the intervention. What a counter right hand from Arlen Lopez. And Nikita Zon, I think, has suffered a little bit of nose damage here in the early stages of round number 3. Good double right hand to the body from Nikita Zon. There he digs down beneath the left elbow of Arlen Lopez once again. And Arlen Lopez, his expression never changes. Well, I say that, he did grimace on a couple of occasions, taking those hip punches. But when he's in the midst of a fire, as he was in the semi-final against Alexander Kizniak in Paris at the Olympic Games a few months ago, no change to his expression. And that the sign of a competent professional. He takes a right uppercut, comes back with a left hook of his own, does Arlen Lopez, after that uppercut success of Nikita Zon. So Zon, as Arlen Lopez ditched the IBA pre-fight gear to take his seat at the top table on the press conference, and came in with a terrifically rascal-like shirt bedecked with decals from downtown Havana. And Nikita Zon says, well, you look, you're sitting up there like an OG, but you are effectively a 3-round fighter. I'm a professional, and I'm going to show you my greater depth of professional experience. But Arlen Lopez, so difficult to deter, so difficult to make him flustered as he weaves away from the incoming fire by employing the layback. And Nikita Zon competing in spirited fashion, but the better quality of punching, as evidenced by that roundhouse right and then follow-up left hook, is coming from the 2-time Olympic champion Arlen Lopez. And the privilege of being ringside to commentate on both of his Olympic triumphs. And again, looking to turn the tables and pin Nikita Zon on the ropes. And it's better ringcraft being exhibited by Arlen Lopez, but there is absolutely nothing wrong with the spirit or competitive fire of Nikita Zon, who is turning uppercuts underneath and looking for hooks at close range. Arlen Lopez just clamping his man's arms beneath his own armpits to prevent him from working. Big swing and a miss with the overhand southpaw left from Nikita Zon, but he did find a range with the left hand slung into the body.
He did, but I think that round has taken quite a lot out of Nikita Zon, to be honest with you, because Lopez is clever. He ties you up on the inside, he leans in, he gets a hold of you, he's physically strong, and he can sap your battery that way, and I think we saw that in that round. He did pick some decent shots as well, and you can see some damage to the bridge of the nose and so on, and there's some swelling coming up underneath the right eye as well. So Lopez is one of these guys, although he wore a decent left hand there, who is always chipping away. As you said, he's not always up on his toes. It's a bit of a myth, isn't it, that Cuban fighters like to dance around the ring, because they love it in the trenches too a lot of the time. But him in particular, he will find the most effective way he can to get something done, and that is what he'll do. And I think he feels against Zon that the best way to do it is be a bit messy, be a little bit, should we say, dirty even himself on the inside. He's sucking the life out of Nikita Zon at the minute, to be honest with you.
So we move into the 4th round of this IBA world title tilt at 80 kilograms, and Nikita Zon, again, you have to credit the man's determination, because in against an opponent as he just rubs the heel of his glove into Arlen Lopez's face once again, and another left hand. This one appeared to be a little more borderline, but Luca Vallelonga speaking to Nikita Zon in no uncertain terms. It's okay flashing your gum shield and grinning, but those low blows will be taking it out of Arlen Lopez. But again, he's continuing to cut a composed figure in against this determined, undefeated professional Nikita Zon. Luca Vallelonga just getting the 2 men beyond punting distance by prizing the 2 apart. Good left hand through the middle from Nikita Zon. Arlen Lopez seeking to tie up the man from Novachunka once again. That's another low blow on the blind side of the ref from Nikita Zon. No complaints from Arlen Lopez. Beautiful left hand. How efficient was that out of the southpaw stance? Made his man miss, then made him pay with a rapier-like straight left. But Nikita Zon, his punches appear rather crude and agricultural in comparison, but he is landing leather on the flesh and bone of Arlen Lopez. Looking for the double right hand, drops down a left hand to the body, which again was just tickling the belt line. Left hook was a clean shot from Arlen Lopez, but countered immediately by another cluster of clumping punches from Nikita Zon. So efficient on the inside, as a mouthpiece has been dislodged and the luminous yellow mouth guard remaining in place for Nikita Zon. It's going to be a quick rinse in reinsertion over in that Cuban corner for Arlen Lopez. Gets back to center ring. Left hand threatened to strain to kidney punch territory from Nikita Zon, who's seeking to make this rough and physical on the inside, as Arlen Lopez looks for a right uppercut, but another clubbing right hook lands from Nikita Zon. And perhaps he's well advised to do that, to try and turn this one into a barroom brawl. Now that mouthpiece has come out for the second time. And Andy's spoken about the 3 strikes rule. In IBA boxing, if this mouthpiece is dislodged again, it wouldn't surprise me to see Mr. Luca Vallelonga deduct a point. And the reason why dislodging of the mouthpiece repeatedly, as Arlen Lopez trips out repeated right jabs out of that southpaw stance, is that sometimes fighters under pressure can spit the mouthpiece in a bid to buy themselves some time. That's not what's happening here. It just appears to be rather ill-fitting, which is surprising when you consider that Arlen Lopez has 358 wins under his belt in the 3-round format of IBA boxing. But Nikita Zon continuing to be busy and letting his hands go and letting them land where they may. Foul-filled second round where the bout was stopped on 3 occasions because of low blows that caught Arlen Lopez on the hip. But Nikita Zon continuing to grow in confidence because his clumping punches are landing on the target area through that 4th round.
Credit to him, he had a good round there. He worked very, very hard in that round, Nikita Zon. But he landed enough good shots to take the round, certainly. Lopez didn't really have too much time to get anything done. He was happy to lean in, cover up, and let Zon work to an extent. He's having to work hard here, Zon. Lopez, as I say, is on you, always making you work really, really hard, and I do think that is going to tell. We will see whether he's able to keep up that kind of work rate on, but that was a good round for him. For the most part, he managed to keep those punches up, so he hasn't suffered a point deduction yet, which is the last thing you need when you're up against a good opponent, when you're in a high-level fight. So 4 rounds down here, 6 remaining. It's a long way to go. Lopez quickly off his stool. Zon advisedly taking every second he can get.
So moving to the 5th round then, and remember, if either of these men hopes to secure the $1 million cash bonus on offer from IBA President Mr. Umar Kremlev, well, they have to get their opponent out of there in the 3-minute stanza that they are contesting now. Now Nikita Zon has put an awful lot into the first 4 rounds and had real success in the previous round, where he outworked the 2-time Olympic champion and bronze medalist from Paris 2024. Again, the greater quality of punching, the sharper punching coming from Arlen Lopez, as evidenced by that beautiful right uppercut, uncorked on the inside. But Nikita Zon working with what he has. His chin is checked by another swiveling right hand, landed in the form of a hook, and it is the same shot once again as Nikita Zon looking to make this physical at close quarters. Arlen Lopez tying up his lead right hand, and as the 2 men disengage from that entanglement, it is Nikita Zon who is letting his hands go once again. Good backhand landed by Nikita Zon, but then countering with a right uppercut twice in quick succession is Arlen Lopez. The 2 men exchanging jolting southpaw right jabs, and Nikita Zon, you get the sense that his confidence and belief are growing. No respect for the reputation or the credentials of Arlen Lopez, and every success that he enjoys. Oh, that's a cracking left hand landed by Arlen Lopez. Impact was doubled up because he brought Nikita Zon onto it, and now Nikita Zon just keen to fashion a clinch, and despite the insistence of referee Luca Vallelonga, Nikita Zon was reluctant to let go of the top rope, against which he had Arlen Lopez pinned. Have those uppercuts, and is the pace at which Nikita Zon is fighting, are those factors beginning to take their toll here now? And Arlen Lopez, we've mentioned how efficient he is, how composed he is. No excess expenditure of energy from the Olympic champion. He's beginning to piece his man up with straight punches through that passage of the round now, and now bringing hooks into play. Eyes of Nikita Zon swelling, but then he shows his competitive spirit by scoring with a lead right uppercut once again. By remaining in the pocket to the extent that he does, as he takes a flicking right jab from Nikita Zon, Arlen Lopez. By remaining in the pocket to the extent that he does, he trusts his radar, but he does present opportunities to be scored upon. Closing seconds of the 5th round. It's been a good round for Arlen Lopez. Nikita Zon has been scored upon effectively, but again, he's always sought to score his own offense. No sign of discouragement from him through 5 completed rounds. Roundhouse left out of the southpaw stance from Arlen Lopez lands, but it's countered by a right jab from Nikita Zon. And again, in the presence of Senor Puig, significant member of the Cuban boxing delegation, Arlen Lopez in front on the scorecards, but he finds himself in a fight.
He's in a real fight here. He absolutely is. It was quite messy in the early stages. It's turned into a much better watch now. Zon, as he said to us at the press conference, has not come here to make up the numbers. He's taken this at short notice and he's going to give it absolutely everything. And that is precisely what we are seeing. The better, cleaner punching came from Lopez in that round. And Zon, due to his willingness to come forward, is going to leave gaps that the Cuban, I think, will be able to exploit. But Lopez is being made to work very, very hard here. The early signs for me were quite dubious for Zon, but I think I did him a little bit of a disservice, because the last couple of rounds particularly, he has shown, as he's been telling us all the way through, that he has absolutely come here to fight, and he's got a chin, hasn't he? He has a chin.
So sporting touch of gloves to begin round number 6. And now Nikita Zon getting some encouragement from the fans in attendance here at the Edge Arena in Dubai, with cries of Russia, Russia reverberating around the arena. Continuing to operate behind a low-held lead right hand. That's clearly how he boxes. You can see the shape on that left that he attempted was rather crude and agricultural, but he's a committed boxer who goes about his craft with real intensity and purpose, not shaping up in the same aesthetically pleasing textbook style of Arlen Lopez, but he is game and gritty and rugged, and those qualities are keeping him in this contest. I don't think he's winning the contest, and as we move into the second half, 5 rounds have been completed and a potential 5 rounds remain. The $1 million bonus has gone begging. Beautiful right jab landed from Arlen Lopez once again, but continuing to nudge and cuff away with his own offense is Nikita Zon. Left hand lands on the hip socket again from Nikita Zon. Luca Badilonga was optimally placed and spoke to him about that infringement. And look at Arlen Lopez just flinching in anticipation of a shot he thought was coming, but Nikita Zon didn't commit. But that's an example of the peripheral vision possessed by Arlen Lopez and his reflexes as he snaps out a right jab straight into the face of the advancing Nikita Zon. Nikita Zon looking for the southpaw left uppercut as the two men find their arms entwined on the inside once again. Remember, in days of yore in Olympic-style boxing, as a double right hook out of the southpaw stance, body then head, did get through for Nikita Zon. Half-cover guard being utilized by Arlen Lopez, and a beautiful cameo of 3 quality punches as he turned defense into offense in a flash. But why I mentioned the old-school Olympic-style boxing gloves, where the knuckle part was white and the rest of it was a different color, invariably red or blue, because Nikita Zon sometimes guilty of cuffing with the inside of the glove, as referee Mr. Luca Badilonga speaks to him about the hip punches once again. But Nikita Zon is seeking to make this as crude and as physical as possible, just to negate. Good right hook landed from Nikita Zon during that fusillade of punches. And Arlen Lopez, well, he's letting these seconds elapse and not really working too much through this passage of the round. And in the meantime, Nikita Zon getting busy with another cluster of punches. It's a strong conclusion to the round for the late substitute, Nikita Zon. And Arlen Lopez has been rather passive in the final minute of this 6th round. Left hand to the body from Zon, right hand over the top, landed on the sound of the bell from Lopez. But a good round in the concluding stages for the man from Russia.
I thought so. I think on balance over the 3 minutes there, he outworked Arlen Lopez. And I'd say that was Nikita Zon's round. He has worked hard right from the beginning of the fight, and he's got that kind of awkward spideriness about him. But some of these shots are getting through. He's not always that set when he throws, but he works hard. He lets his hands go a lot. And Lopez has just got to try and make sure that Zon doesn't build a head of steam here, because he is an awkward opponent. I do feel like Lopez could do with just giving himself a bit more room, creating a little bit of distance. Right from the start, he's been happy to get right up close, head on the shoulder, head on the chest almost. And it's not like he's not having success doing that, but when you look at the style that Zon has got, up close and personal is how he will want it. I just wonder what would happen if Lopez just tried to take it a bit longer.
So we move into the 7th round, and Nikita Zon out with a spring in his step after a really effective round number 6. There's a counter left hand from Arlen Lopez. Switches to compete as an orthodox boxer. And again, it's a boxing truism, and I'm not suggesting it's the case here. But a journeyman in shape can beat a champion who's not in shape. Now, no suggestion that Arlen Lopez isn't in condition, but a double right hook gets through from Nikita Zon. Flashing right hand landed from Arlen Lopez, and then a beautiful left cross. Again, sends a shower of spray from the crew cut of Nikita Zon. But I'm not suggesting Arlen Lopez isn't in shape, but as another piercing left cross gets through to check the chin of Nikita Zon from the 2-time Olympic champion. But his passivity, as evidenced in round number 6, does allow Nikita Zon to get a real foothold in the fight. That means his confidence will grow. That means he'll be more difficult to deter, as Arlen Lopez lands with the left cross once again. That is 3 times in pretty close succession that he's landed with that southpaw backhand, and it has been straight and crisp and accurate, and invariably found a home on the chin of Nikita Zon, which is invariably up in the air and not protected by his gloves. Nikita Zon continuing to dig away to the body. Arlen Lopez remaining flat-footed in the pocket as the 2 men lean shoulder to shoulder on the inside. Arlen Lopez going in search of the left cross once again, but couldn't find the range. Turns a right uppercut underneath, and referee has called time because a mouthpiece of Arlen Lopez has been dislodged for the 3rd time in the contest. So let's keep a close eye on Mr. Luca Varilonga, because if this was IBA 3-round boxing, a point would be deducted at this point, but this is IBA Champions Night professional boxing, so no point deduction assessed against Arlen Lopez. Minute remaining in this 7th round. And again, Nikita Zon, as he takes a low blow from Arlen Lopez. Arlen Lopez seeming to embody Hall of Fame inductee Ricky Hatton's mantra, saying it's not tiddlywinks, is it? And he's been hit low repeatedly, so just let Nikita Zon have a low blow of his own. But Nikita Zon's energy and industry, remember, taking this fight at really short notice after the withdrawal due to illness of Sharabutdin Atayev, the reigning world champion at 86 kilograms from the 2023 edition of the World Champs in Tashkent last year. And look at that for a double right hand to lead off that combination. Body then head from Nikita Zon. Epitomizing the mantra if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. Corkscrew right uppercut was Nikita Zon's best shot of the entire contest, and it swiveled the head of Arlen Lopez. But he takes the shot well, ends the round firing back. But Nikita Zon, his industry impressive.
He's building up a head of steam here because, again, he's outworked Lopez in that round. Lopez did some good eye-catching stuff in the first minute and a half, and he had his success when he did keep it a bit longer, and he launched that 1-2 down the middle. There's that uppercut right at the end of the round from Zon, but Zon wasn't discouraged by it, and he just continues to come forward to maul his man on the inside and to let his hands go. And Lopez, as I said, he landed some good shots in that round, but it's another round that Zon could have taken. And this is getting tighter. You look at the replays there, and he just manages to find enough space, doesn't he, Zon? He's awkward. He looks like there shouldn't really be room, but there is a method there, and that facial damage, which came up quite quick, hasn't got any worse over the last 2 or 3 rounds.
Remember, one of the criteria for scoring punches that they must be landed with sufficient force and with the knuckle part of the glove. And you can see those left hands that Zon just scored didn't land with the knuckle part of the glove. It was an inside of the glove, rendering it a slap. So even though Nikita Zon is landing frequently, is the quality of his punching enough to gain favor with the judges? But make no mistake, this man's punch output and the manner in which he's going about the Olympic champion is commendable indeed. The quality left crosses came in round number 7 from Arlen Lopez. But the busier boxer is the bustling figure of the southpaw, wearing the black trim with gold, Nikita Zon. He's content to continue to operate behind low-held hands. That is his style. But Arlen Lopez, so experienced, so much attainment during the course of his all-time great career, and that's not overstating things. 2-time Olympic champion, edged out in a thrilling semi-final against Alexander Kizniak as he sought to join Laszlo Papp and Felix Savon and Teofilio Stevenson as a 3-time Olympic champion. But he does have a habit of sometimes doing just enough. Can dominate opponents with his quality, and it's in this territory that he is so comfortable boxing. I remember en route to his second world title, his first world title in Rio, beautiful lead right hook out of the southpaw stance, and then a quality left uppercut from the same port-sided stand from Arlen Lopez. En route to his first Olympic title at Rio Centro Pavilion 6, he fought the marauding Christian Mbili, who's now a contender on the rise out of Canada. Boxed out of Canada, and again he was content to remain in the pocket and just calmly pick off his man. His quality is evident, but again, the greater punch output is coming from Nikita Zon. That landed with the inside of the glove, so will it be considered as a scoring blow by the judges? There's a left uppercut, which again swivels the head of Arlen Lopez. Oh, that's a beautiful left cross straight down the pipe from Nikita Zon. But Arlen Lopez showing stout punch resistance because he barely blinked, retained his boxing stance, and sought to fire back. But again, Arlen Lopez finding himself in a fight here as he goes for the big southpaw backhand once again. It was countered by a left cross from Nikita Zon. Beautiful left hand from Arlen Lopez. Ran Nikita Zon onto it, and that swiveled his head thoroughly, sent his eyeballs into orbit a little bit as we approach the 10-second clapper here in round number 8. Nikita Zon, big swing and a miss. His legs became disorganized, and how about that for a counter uppercut? And the fusillade followed up by Arlen Lopez. The quality coming from the Cuban, but we have to give credit to the never-giving attitude being demonstrated by Nikita Zon.
We do, but I thought that was a good round for Lopez. I thought he landed some heavy artillery. It's not that Zon didn't have his successes, he absolutely did, and he worked terrifically hard again. But Lopez picked some good punches in that round, and looking at Zon walking back to his corner, he was trudging back to the corner really. And I think a couple got through and half buzzed him in that round, to be honest with you. Right towards the end, there was a little bit of a shove, and his back leg kind of collapsed underneath him a little bit. It wasn't from a punch, but at the same time, I think that's just a little bit of evidence of where he is physically, because this is taking a lot out of him. He's taking a lot out of Lopez too, but what the Cuban needs to do now in these final 2 rounds is just up the tempo, which I think he feels like Zon has wilted a bit in that round.
Round 9.
And he's got to completely close the door here.
So we move into the 9th round in what has been a really absorbing contest, something of a Cinderella story. What a left hand from Nikita Zon! Caught Arlen Lopez with his feet rooted into the canvas, and his knees appear to dip just a little bit, but then he comes back with a leaping right hook out of the southpaw stance, followed it up with a left hand, and down goes down goes Zon for our first knockdown of the fight. He's beaten the count. Referee Mr. Luca Badilongo wipes the gloves clean, and there is still 2.5 minutes to negotiate for Nikita Zon in this 9th round. But Arlen Lopez seeking to set about his man with more quality singles, and look at Nikita Zon. Despite just having 9 fights of professional experience under his belt, showing his experience by tying up Arlen Lopez just to buy himself more time for his head to clear. Right hook out of the southpaw stance, followed by a left hook as his feet switched, and he ended up as an orthodox boxer, Arlen Lopez. Good thrusting jab to the body from Nikita Zon. But again, his punches taking on a little bit of a pendulous quality here now. Nikita Zon, they're coming back via the belt line. And when Arlen Lopez picks his punches as sharply as he has done in this 9th round and in the 8th, well, that could well spell curtains for the late substitute from Russia. Gamely, he dances his way back into the pocket behind a right-left. That was inaccurate. Nikita Zon presenting a different look to Arlen Lopez now, up on his toes, trying to float around the boxing ring. Takes another left hand from the southpaw, 2-time Olympic champion. And Arlen Lopez, since he has his man going, lands with a 2-shot salvo. But again, Nikita Zon landing with a haymaker of his own. But Arlen Lopez seemingly impervious to the power punches that Nikita Zon is landing. And again, the crisper, sharper quality in terms of punching resides with Arlen Lopez. But Nikita Zon has done very well to get himself off the canvas and weather the crisis that he found himself in the midst of here in round number 9. That's going to be ruled a slip. The gloves will be wiped clean, and the action resumes. 40 seconds to go. Left cross success again for Nikita Zon. He's doing an outstanding job managing his resources here. Lopez seeking to spin in the pocket and come back with a quick counter after his initial lunging offense was off the mark. So Lopez creeping over the canvas out of the southpaw stance once again. On flat feet, just edging his way incrementally forwards. Nothing he hasn't seen during the course of his IBA Olympic-style boxing career as he steps into range behind a southpaw right jab and re-emerges as an orthodox boxer. Biggest round of the bout so far. Nikita Zon sent to the floor by Arlen Lopez.
But you have to admire the minerals he's showing here, Nikita Zon, because he was put down heavy there, and it was early in the round, and you wondered whether he might be about to unravel. But it didn't happen, and he actually had some reasonable success after that. It's a big round for Lopez due to the knockdown. He catches him with the right hand, shrugs him off, catches him high on the head with the left hand. And from the way he went down, there's the right hand. And he's going down in installments from that point onwards, really. But he's shown unbelievable grit and toughness here. And we were talking about opportunities earlier on. When you get one like this, he's going to be able to walk away from this ring tonight, whatever happens, with absolutely no regrets, because he'll be able to look himself in the mirror tomorrow and know that he could not have done any more. As fighters will tell you, athletes will tell you that if that's the case, and you can live with it, whatever happens in there, this should be a hell of a final round.
A warm embrace between the two boxers before resuming the action to begin round number 10. It's a classic IBA boxing rivalry between Cuba and Russia. But it's the Cuban boxer wearing the white trunks trimmed with gold, Arlen Lopez, who has surely boxed his way into a points lead here, dropped his man heavily in the 9th round, and now just quickening up the tempo, particularly with his feet, is Arlen Lopez. How about that for a catch and counter? Blocked the incoming body shot with his right elbow, countered back with the right hand over the top, but Nikita Zon will not be distracted or discouraged, and he's continuing to let clusters of punches go. So Nikita Zon has had his moments in this contest, and he will certainly have gained the respect of Arlen Lopez. For my money, I don't think there's any doubt as to who's leading the bout, but what will say the 3 scoring judges are seated around the boxing ring who are using the 10-point must system. But Nikita Zon answering the call after Shadabutdin Atayev had to withdraw due to illness, a bout of illness preventing his appearance here against Arlen Lopez. And my goodness, oh, that's a cracking left hand followed by a short right from Arlen Lopez. And again, the manner in which he's able to go through the gears in terms of the speed of his punch. From this seemingly relaxed posture on the inside, all of a sudden he tightened up and it's like a cobra striking. Oh my goodness, right on cue. What a left hand from Arlen Lopez. Nikita Zon didn't see it coming, and it's dropped him heavily to the canvas for the second time in the bout. A minute remains. Arlen Lopez had some words as he glared in the direction of the black corner. Another howitzer of a left hand, and surely this contest has to be called off now. Dropped for the third time in the bout, the second time in the round. Arlen Lopez in complete control. And referee Mr. Luca Vadilonga has issued the count. Nikita Zon has beaten it. 40 seconds remain, and Arlen Lopez appears to be determined to secure an inside the distance finish here. Stalking his man in predatory mode, fires the lead left hook out of the orthodox stance. Nikita Zon takes another left hand which has affected him right down to his bootstraps, and the follow-up right hand sends him to the canvas for the third time. Arlen Lopez celebrates by pounding his fist together. Mr. Luca Vadilonga not bothering to administer a count, and this contest over. A 10th round stoppage produced by Arlen Lopez. I think that the corner of Nikita Zon could well have done with throwing in the towel there to save their man to fight for another day, because he was dropped heavily by some precise, potent, powerful punching from Arlen Lopez during the course of that 10th and final round. Arlen Lopez is the new IBA World Professional Champion at 80 kilograms. We have to give credit to the determined spirit showing produced by the late but he took an awful lot in that 10th and final round.
Ron, that is absolutely disgraceful to all the work, I think. Absolutely shambolic. He was out on his feet, he'd been knocked down twice, he had absolutely nothing left. It was a walking knockout, and then he's got put on his back. I was looking at the corner and I was gesturing to them almost, why are you not stopping this? That is what you're there for. He's lost the fight at that point, he's behind on the cards. The only thing that is going to happen next is he's going to get flattened. And it is your responsibility, if you possibly can, to make sure that that doesn't happen. That was terrible.
So Arlen Lopez subduing his celebrations over in that gold corner as his team remove his gloves. Nikita Zon just being treated by the medical team on hand here at the Edge Arena in Dubai.
A brave fighter doesn't need a brave corner. He put so much into that fight, Nikita Zon. He did himself absolutely proud, and they should have spared him that.
Well, just keeping an eye on Nikita Zon, who has taken a seat on a stool, and this is the final denouement. But really, the precision with which Arlen Lopez was punching left Nikita Zon out on his feet for the majority of that 10th and final round.
Time is 2 minutes 35 seconds of round number 10. Both these fighters put on one heck of a fight. Let's give them both a round of applause, please. The winner by knockout victory, and now he is the new IBA 80 kilogram world champion. He is Arlen Lopez.
So Arlen Lopez looks to the heavens.
Ladies and gentlemen, a special presentation of the championship belt. Hollywood actor is with us tonight, Saeed Tagmawi, and from the world of boxing,
scoring a 10th round knockout at the 2-minute 35 mark
four-time world champion
of the 10th and final round.
His ticket to the Hall of Fame already punched, but it's not over yet. He is Terrence Bud Crawford.
Well, what a wonderful moment for Arlen Lopez, because stepping up into the ring to present him with this newly won world title strap is Terrence Bud Crawford. Waiting to see where he is, but in the meantime, Arlen Lopez proudly displaying that strap.
one of the legendary
his
amateur
chest.
fighters now with his world title,
Arlen Lopez. Extending his ledger as a professional boxer. Terrific performance. His quality coming to the fore in the end. But Nikita Zon, he deserves immense credit, putting forth a spirited performance and really could have done with being rescued by his own corner. There is Terence Bud Crawford celebrating with the newly crowned 80 kilogram IBA world champion.
He's a terrific fighter, isn't he? He has been for such a long time. I felt that he managed that fight because 10 rounds is a long time. He fought in bursts at times, and you were just kind of waiting for him to really up the ante, and then he did it right at the end there when he'd taken almost everything out of Nikita Zon. He was absolutely ruthless. He's been such a good fighter for such a long period of time. He really has. He's an absolute pleasure to watch, but as you say, full credit to Nikita Zon. He came in at short notice and he made that a really competitive, good fight to watch. I wonder if he'll have a word with President Umar Kremlev, Arlen Lopez, to see if he can grab a quick $500,000 for a stoppage within 10 rounds.
That was the incentive on offer in our 2 world title bouts that topped the bill here tonight in Dubai. But Nikita Zon, in his second IBA Champions Night outing, while he demonstrated that he is plenty tough and in terrific condition, particularly when you consider he came in at short notice. But the quality of Arlen Lopez coming to the fore at the end, and that is why he was able to emerge with the IBA 80 kilogram world title. Well, as we look at images from what was the final bout of the evening, just time to get some closing